In this video, we are going to look at how to use the various features of Stock Portfolio Organizer to manage risk by calculating position sizes and stop losses based on a maximum allowed percentage risk. For this demonstration, we will start with a new user. We will then create a new account with a balance of $1,000. We're going to Main, clicking Accounts, then clicking New. We will call this account eTrade, and we'll set the initial balance to $100,000. Then we'll click Save. Next, we will need to create a trade group and put all of our trades in it, as it will be used by the position sizing formula to calculate the net liquidation value, which is needed to be able to calculate the amount we are willing to risk. For example, if our account has a balance of $50,000 and the value of our trades is $30,000 if sold at their respective stop loss prices, then the net liquidation value would be $80,000. We'll create a trade group by going to Trade Groups, then clicking New, and we'll call it Live Trades. And for the currency, we'll select Australian dollars, since that's what all our trades are in. Then click Save. Now that we have everything set up, let's take a look at an example of how Stock Portfolio Organizer is able to calculate the position size or stop loss for a simple share trade. Everything shown in this video can be easily applied to other trade types too, such as futures, forex, etc. In this example, let's pretend we want to buy BHP shares, but we don't know how many we should buy to minimize our risk or where to put the stop loss. To begin with, open the Share Trade entry window by clicking Enter Trade, then selecting Share as the instrument type, and then click OK. Next, we need to select position sizing as the instrument formula. Then we need to select the account where the funds are going to come from, so eTrade. Then we'll need to select the market and the ticker we want to buy, which is BHP. Then we also need to select the trade group that we created before. As you can see, as soon as we did that, the net liquidation value was calculated for us. Next, we'll need to enter the current price of BHP. In this case, at the time of this video, the price was $31.50. Once we have done that, we have a couple options. We can either enter the quantity we would like to purchase or enter a stop loss. At the moment, if we look at the position sizing formula results, several different volatility-based stops have been calculated based on the current price history of BHP. If you have no data feed set up or the security was newly added, then you will have to wait until the current data is downloaded before the volatility stops will be able to be calculated. If we wanted to use an ATR stop loss for this trade, we can use the ATR stop loss that was calculated for us and input it into the Risk tab. So in this case, the ATR stop loss calculated for us was $30.37. So we can go to the Risk tab, select Fixed as the stop loss type, then enter $30.37. As you can see, as soon as the stop loss is entered, the quantity of shares we should purchase based on our risk profile is calculated for us. If this was a real trade, we would copy the quantity calculated for us into the quantity field and save the trade as pending. So we'll put the value that was calculated for us, which was $17.70 for the quantity. Then we would select our trading as pending and then click Save. Obviously, we'd need to select the correct brokerage formula before continuing, then click Save. Then we would go and purchase the desired number of shares on the market. Obviously, the average price per share will differ from what we entered earlier, So we would go to the pending trades view once we have purchased the trades and we have the average price that we actually purchased it at, and we will click edit and we would correct the price that we actually purchased the shares at. Then we will untick that the trade is pending and click save so that it is entered into our portfolio. By default, the instrument formula assumes that we are willing to risk a maximum of 2% of our portfolio, and the multipliers for the various volatility stops are set at 2. You can easily change these settings and more by going to the Advanced tab and clicking Instrument Formulas, then select our position sizing instrument formula, and then click Set Parameters. If we expand the parameters for each field, you can see all the different parameters that we are able to adjust. For example, for the volatility stop loss, we can adjust the standard deviation, the multiplier for the standard deviation, how many decimals to round the point to, the value to, and how many periods to use for the standard deviation calculation. And the same goes for various other fields such as quantity, what's the maximum percentage loss we are willing to accept, etc. Before we continue, just a small tip if you're watching this video and are just starting with Stock Portfolio Organizer. If you have any trades with a stop loss, you might want to activate the stop loss alert so that you will get an alert if any of your stop losses are hit. You can do this by opening the alerts window and then selecting our stop loss alert and clicking activate. Now with the alert activated, anytime the price goes below the stop loss, we'll get an alert trigger. Now back to our BHP trade example. What we did is set an initial stop loss, which helps minimize the risk on that particular trade. If we wanted to extract the maximum amount of profit from the trade, we could also set a trailing stop loss that minimizes losses from any profits that the trade makes. If you are trading using some sort of trading system, it is better to follow its exit rules or test it with a trailing stop loss as an exit. The most common type of trailing stop loss is based on the ATR indicator and uses a multiplier of 2.5 and should start at the initial stop loss. With Stock Portfolio Organizer, it is fairly easy to see the current trailing stop loss price by opening the current trailing stop loss custom grid view by expanding Custom and then clicking Custom Trailing Stop Loss. This view should show you the current trailing stop loss price using a few different techniques, ATR being one of them. To make this view easier to use, I suggest you filter any trades that have been sold by right-clicking on the Is Sold column, then selecting Filter Editor, and where it says Enter Value, we will untick. Click OK. Next, we should probably hide this column since we no longer need its values. We'll right-click, select Column Chooser, and then we'll deselect the column. Once that is done, we can save the view and make it default, so we don't have to repeat the same steps each time we open the view. You do this by clicking Save As. We'll give it the name Default Trailing Stop Loss View. Then click Save. Then if we go back to the list of layouts, we'll select it and make it default. What this will do is it will load that view each time we open the view. So if we try it, you can see it's loaded our custom view